Turn your boring intro from this to this. I'm John, and this is Fun with Filmora.
Lights, camera, action!
Let's have some fun.
Let's turn that boring intro into something more interesting. First thing we need is a background. I went to stock media and I searched for a background and I found simple logo reveal, and I saved it to my favourites by clicking on the little green star there. I'm now going to drag that onto the timeline. And the next thing we need is a camera image. I went to stock media, searched on camera, and I found this one. I added that to my favourites, so I'm now going to drag that onto the timeline. I'll just move that in a bit and let that start about, let's say about there. I'll shrink the timeline down so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so we've now got our background. We've got our camera image. Okay, it's a good start. Now you see the camera's got a white background on. We don't want that, so click on the camera image, go to mask, and click on the new AI mask, and we want to change it from smart brush to select subject. Now when you hover over that, you can see it takes the background out, and that's exactly what we want. So just click on that and you can see it's masked that whole area around the camera. That's great. That's looking good so far. Right, what do we need next? Next we need a black and white Polaroid type frame. Now, I could have searched for one. Well, I did search for one, to be honest, and I couldn't find one that was free. So we're going to create our own. Let's go back up to stock media. Let's go to library and solid color. And we'll choose white. And we'll drag that down and put it on the timeline. We'll shrink that down by going to image, basic, and rescaling it. And I'll take out the little icon here, the little lock icon, because that way I can then make it whatever size I want. So I'll make it about the size of what I think a Polaroid frame would look like. Okay, let's say something like that. Now inside there we want a black frame as well, or a black colour. So let's drag the black down. We'll shrink that down to fit inside. I'll take off the little lock icon, because that way I can drag all the sides individually then, just to make it look like a little photo frame or a Polaroid picture frame, like I said. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. Maybe make that slightly bigger. Not there. And that's slightly bigger. Okay, so far so good. Now I want to make these into a compound clip. So I highlight both of them, right click and choose create compound clip. Right, now that I have them as one compound clip, I can do what I want with them. First of all, I'm going to resize them, or resize it, the single compound clip. I'm going to make that go to about there and make it slightly wider, I think, just a fraction. Yeah, and I want to make it taller. So, round about there maybe. Yep, that'll do. Now we can see the camera in the background. We don't want to see that at the moment, so I'll just hide this top layer. And we need to shrink the camera down so it fits within the circle. So I'll just rescale that. Might move it over slightly. Yep, that's not too bad. Unhide that clip again. So now we have the intro, and then it comes into the photo. What I want to happen now is I want this photo frame, the Polaroid frame, to shrink and go down to the bottom left hand corner. But before I do that, I want to add a drop shadow onto this. So make sure you're on the compound clip. Click on drop shadow under basic. And I'm just going to move that shadow over to the left hand side. And you do that simply by dragging the angle button there. So I'll keep that on the left hand side there. That'll do. Now I want to create keyframes for this. So I want it to start off full. And then I want to move in a bit to say about there and create a keyframe. Let's click on the add keyframe button there. And I want to shrink it and move it down to the bottom left. So I'll shrink it down, make sure the padlock is on. And I'll shrink that down and I'll move it over left, and I'll move it down as well. So I'll keep playing around with this until I'm happy about the size I want and the position I want. Yeah, that might be okay. That looks a good position. I'll leave it there. Let's just see what that looks like. Right, I forgot to put a keyframe at the start. My fault, but these things are sent to try us and it's a good learning curve. So let's go back to the very start of that compound clip, and we need to add a keyframe there, and we need to resize it back up to the way we had it originally. So let me just undo that. There we go. I clicked on the undo button. That takes it back to the 100%, which is fine. So now when we play that, it should shrink and go to the left. Yeah, that's fine. That works well. Now, just after it stops shrinking, we want to add some text. So let's go to titles. And I used the default title. I'll just drag that down onto the next timeline. And I'll change that to say testing. All in capitals. But also what I want to do is change the actual color of that. So let's click on the preset. I'll use the yellow one there. And I also want to leave a space between the letter T and the E. And the reason why we want to do that is I want to drag that down and place it within the photograph. That's a bit too small, so we want to resize that maybe to something like that. Just center it again so that the letter T looks like it's in the center of the photograph. Let's test that and see what it looks like. Great. I'll get that to fade in though, because it seems to come in quite harsh. Yeah, okay. And the way we do that is click on the word testing. We go to video, animation, and then click on fade in. Drag and drop fade in onto the word testing. I'll drag the first keyframe of the fade in to the end, and I'll just move that in slightly. So let's just see how that goes now. Yeah, that's not too bad. Maybe a little bit slow. Make it come in a bit quicker. Try that again. Yeah, that looks better. Now that all the word is in, we can chop the rest of these here. So we'll just click anywhere in the grey to unhighlight them all. Click on the cut, and I'll chop all of those four in one go. They are highlighted, so let's just click on delete. Great. I'm also going to move to the start of where the compound clip and the camera comes in. I'm going to make a cut on the bottom layer, which is the background layer. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I'm now going to highlight all of these and copy these another 2 times for the other 2 words. So let's copy. Let's go to the end of our clips and paste by right clicking and paste, or Control V on your keyboard. So do that once and do it again. We now move along to where it says testing, and we want that to say reviewing. So we change that to the word reviewing. I forgot to leave a space after the R, so there we go. Now this is in the wrong place, so what I need to do is move it across so it's highlighted. So what I can do is click the right arrow on my keyboard, and that moves it a bit at a time, which is the way I want it to be. You can position it a lot better by doing that. So don't forget, the right arrow on the keyboard moves it a bit at a time. Just keep pressing it until you're happy with it. Great. Next one, we need to go along, and this says, or this should say, Tech Talk. So we'll change that. Leave the space. This is in the wrong place, so click on it, and then click the right arrow on your keyboard and move it across. You can as well just use the X scale here. Move it right and left. It's exactly the same. I just like using the keyboard. Let's have a quick run through, see what that looks like. Yep, looking good so far. I now want to add a logo. I searched for logos and found on the titles 70s retro labeled title, which looked like a logo. And everything I've used in this tutorial is all free to use. There are no paid effects in this. So I want to drag that down, and I'll add this to the timeline. Round about, let's see now, there. I'll make it start there, so I'll drag that along there. Let's see what that looks like. Great. Not quite central, so make sure we click on the title. We go to video, the video tab, and this is where we can move the position as a full video. So let's just move that across. That looks quite central. Let's see what that looks like. Yep, that works well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop that title there. And the reason why I'm going to do that is I'm going to use this part in these next two pieces of text as well. So first of all, I need to shrink it down so it's the same length. Right, so let's make this the right size we want it. I'll click on the video tab, make sure we're on the title or the logo we want there. Click on the video tab and we want to shrink it down and move it across. So we move it to the right and I'll move it up. Bit too big at the moment. Take it out a bit more. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Now I can right click on this, copy it, go to the end of that clip and paste it again. So what happens now is comes in big and stays small, and you won't see that when the transition is in. Looking good so far? Right, we need a transition to go in between where all these are cut. So let's go to transitions. I search for camera shutter and there it is there. I've saved it in my favorites, and you just drag and drop that in between the two titles. Way too big, so I want to shrink that down to probably about there. Let's see what that looks like. Try that again. Yeah, that's not too bad. That seems to work. So I want to copy that effect. I'll highlight the next two, and if I paste, you'll see two others come up. Just drag them across then, so that they go in between. Okay, that's not too bad. I think the Polaroid needs to stay on a bit longer. So what I'm going to do, if I click on the actual compound clip and drag the keyframe in slightly, maybe a bit more before it starts shrinking. Yeah, that seems better. I'll do the same on the second compound clip and the same on the third compound clip. Right, let's see what that looks like. That's better. It stays up a little bit longer now. See, it's stopped for a second. Yeah, that looks much better. The last few things to do now is to add our sound effects and our music. Let's go back to the beginning. Well, actually just move in a bit until our title starts. And there we want a title transition sound. Let's go to our audio. And under sound effects, there's one called title transition. In fact, if I click on sound effect and type it in, you can see title transition 01. Let's drag that onto the timeline underneath. We'll start it where the first comes in. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, that works well. We now want some camera shutter sounds as the shutter comes in. So let's go back to sound effects, type in camera shutter, and you can see the first one there is camera shutter 02. That's the one I've used. So let me go down and add that underneath. I'll make sure it comes in with the transition. That's great, that worked really well. Do the same on the second transition. And the same on the third transition. Let's run that through quickly. Yep, that works really, really nice there. Happy with that. What do we need next? Okay, we need some camera snaps as well. So after the transition and the Polaroid comes up, I'd like to hear some what they call camera snaps there. So what we need to do is go back to our audio, sound effect, and search for camera snaps. You can see we've got a camera snap. We've got a couple of camera snaps actually, quite a few. So I've used camera snaps, the first one I think. So we'll just drag that down underneath and we'll start it where the transition is in the middle there. It's way too long. We don't need all that. We just need that bit, I believe. So let me just try that. I think that came in probably a bit too quick. Oh no, it's not too bad. So I shall right click and copy that. Go to the next where it transitions. The break there. Make sure I'm on the audio timeline and paste. And go to the last one where the break is and paste again. Let's try that. Excellent. And the very last thing we need now is some audio, some music. So let's go to audio and go to the music tab this time. And searching through, I found one called Acking Our Minds, which is strange. I've saved it in my favourites there. And it is Acking, A-C-K-I-N-G, Our Minds. Strange. I don't know what the word acking means. If anybody knows, please let me know in the comments below. I shall drag that down onto the timeline, the very bottom. And I'll just move it in ever so slightly, because we don't want to start straight away. I'll just start it just before the actual title transition comes in. And we need to chop it at the end as well, at the very end of our clips. So I shall chop that there. Get shut of that. The sound waves look a bit loud, so I'm going to drop that down to -5 on the volume. Go back to the beginning. Let's see and hear what that sounds like. There we go. How to change a boring intro into an interesting and animated one. Please let me know what you thought of this tutorial. As always, I really do appreciate it. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and click on the notification bell. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Now go have some fun.